All right, I just want to let you know that the aliens came up with something, and what it is to get rid of the House, leaving the Senate and the presidency and the judiciary branch. And so the way it works is that, anyways, I was laying down and I was thinking to myself about something, and then before my thought transitioned to another thought, they said middleman. It was a man's voice saying middleman or something, and they never speak in a man's voice like that, or haven't in a long time. And they said few different things earlier in a man's voice. It wasn't loud, extremely loud, but loud enough to be heard. And so what we're looking for is for the states, like I said, they're going to have their term lengths reduced to match population increases and get rid of the 17th Amendment. So the states are appointing and selecting the senators themselves, the state governments, not the population. And so the way that works is that the state governments are going to say, look, here's what we want. We want you out of our business, okay? Some of them are going to say, we want you completely out of our business. Some of them are going to say, we want you more in our business, okay? We would like more federal aid, we're small, and so we like to feed off the other states. And then there's going to be some of them that, say, well, we're big enough to be our own country, it's all about how power works, They can always want more power for themselves. Always, 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 always. And in fact, that's why the founders had them, appointed by the states a third at a time, because even with 6-year terms, they knew the only thing that's going to be on their mind is going to be putting their heads together and dissolving the federal government, At this point, there's nuclear weapons. I don't think that is going to be as much of a hysterical desire as it was previously. But, just to note that before nuclear weapons existed, they were damn sure that was going to be the issue. And so what I'm saying is that, the president is going to be paid a very large amount of money. We're thinking somewhere around $100 million a year. And then for the first 2 years, that'll stay the same, or the first 2 terms, which are going to be 2-year terms. Then the third term, the chances of being elected are cut in half. The opportunity to make more money is doubled. Again, the 4th term, and then I'm thinking actually go up again 5 and then 6. You know what I mean? And so, because they'll rarely ever get to the 6th term, but it'll never leave their mind that they could potentially be making $1.5 billion a year if they make everybody happy enough. And so that's going to reflect the wishes of the public very effectively. And the public's going to want all kinds of shit. You know what I mean? They're going to want so much shit enough to destroy themselves. But what they certainly will want is commerce, and they love big government, a bigger government. So they're going to love to have commerce and a military that protects every single state, which are aspects of it that are good, and they need to have a military and commerce and basic, tariffing, tariffing needs to be handled by the federal government. Not much more than that. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, you need a judiciary that is capable of enforcing the Constitution and incentivized to do that. It's hard to explain how I do that, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that for me, it seems like it would be a good idea to have a house, because it just gives them something else to negotiate with, and that reflects the will of the people. And I just feel like they should. But this is what they said, and I think it makes pretty good sense if they won't just right off the bat try to dissolve the federal government. And another thing we can do is potentially increase the veto power. If instead of giving them a house, just increase the veto power. And then just enshrine in the Constitution, give them a few laws that basically provide for the welfare, and then give them some laws that give them some constitutional amendments so you can't remove that much, and then increase the veto power, and that just a little bit, maybe up to 75%, and that'll make it to where the 25%, the will of the 25% of the state governments will supersede the other 75 when it comes to things like, especially, we don't need a national defense. We'll handle it ourselves. You wouldn't believe it, but they will say that. Okay, they will say that. Okay, and they'll be really quick to say that, more than you would even think. Okay, because that's how power works. And it's like what it says in the book 1984. Power was an end, not a means. You know what I mean? Power is an end, not a means. Okay, so we're giving these people a lot of power, and we're tempting them with more. In order to reduce the size of the federal government. So, but anyways, just want to let you know that that's a big, and so we're looking to get rid of the House.